Hello nation, and welcome back to the homestead. In today's economy, it's getting harder and harder to be able to keep up with your needed infrastructure on your homestead. And I'm talking about stuff like chicken tractors, egg mobiles, and stuff like that. Well, I want to put a bee in everybody's bonnet today and start talking a little bit about upcycling. Talking about how you can take something that you've used for other things, or even taking something and revamping it to its original purpose, so that way you can still keep moving forward on your homestead. One of the things I want you guys to remember is what, like Joel Salatin says, it doesn't have to be picture perfect. It just has to be good enough. So the example I'm going to give you guys today is our eggmobile. Now, we've had this eggmobile probably 6-7 years bouncing around from paddock to paddock to paddock. And no matter how much you paint or how much you Thompson water seal, sooner or later, the wood, with it being out 365 days a year in all types of weather, the wood is going to eventually start to rot and decay. And so that's exactly what happened with our eggmobile. Well, when we got to looking at it, the frame, the bones of it, that was still good. So we decided that we were going to upcycle some materials that we had here on the homestead to give this eggmobile a little bit of an upgrade. Okay, so the very first thing that we did, now we did have to buy these, is we had to pretty much replace all of the tires. We thought we could get away with only replacing 1 or 2, but as we were bringing the eggmobile up here, they popped. So we had to eventually replace those. So that was just a quick trip to Harbor Freight to get new tires. Now, I was a little disappointed because Harbor Freight was completely sold out of the spinners in this size tire. So we just had to go with the standard tire, no frills, no lights, no spinners on it or anything. And so we upgraded. We didn't really upgrade, we just replaced the tires on the eggmobile. Now I'm going to give you guys a little pro tip, star, asterisk, whatever you want to call it. In the off season, if you're not using your eggmobile with these tires from Harbor Freight, still go out there and push your eggmobile around during the off season, so that way they don't sit there and eventually start to lose, air will start to seep out, and then they'll sit there and they'll eventually start to rot over time. Another pro tip would be that these tires, they come in the ones that swivel, and they also come in the ones that are just straight, they're rigid. I would go with getting the swivel ones, because depending on how your pasture is and your paths, sometimes it helps to be able to get a hold of that eggmobile and just be able to push it sideways instead of front and back. So those are my 2 pro tips when it comes to the tires. All right, so the next thing that we did to the eggmobile was an upcycle. We purchased, many moons ago, we purchased the Harbor Freight greenhouse. Well, to be honest with you, the framing on that greenhouse was trash. And so we have all of these panels laying around. So as Robin and I were talking about what we were going to do, how we were going to upcycle, somebody came up with the idea that we should try the greenhouse panels because that would let sunlight into the eggmobile first thing real early in the morning, and then in the fall time a little bit later in the evening, once we start to put them away, we'll be able to take and manipulate where the that part of the tractor is going to be in order to be able to give the chickens just a little bit more sunlight during the day. And the last upcycle that we did, that comes from this brainchild right here, thought about it all by myself, take 100% responsibility for this and 100% of the credit, was the rainwater catchment system that we did. Now we did a separate video on that, and that will show up at the end of this video. But this was a huge help for us, because we did it with the chicken cups in a 5-gallon bucket, and now we don't have to try to tote water out here specifically just for the chickens. every day. God has blessed us with, about the time that the bucket gets a little low, we get a decent rainstorm and it fills the bucket back up. So don't get discouraged by the way that everything's going out there. It just takes a little bit of thinking outside the box, where you can take something that normal people would call trash, and you can look at it and see the beauty in it, to be able to upcycle it, to be able to make your homestead move in a forward direction. Don't forget to check out the video that's popping up right now about how we made this rainwater catchment system for the eggmobile. If you've got an eggmobile and you don't really look forward to dragging hoses or carrying buckets of water, check that video out. It'll save your back. Your back will thank you. Thanks for coming by the Big Bear Homestead. God bless, and have a nice day.